past is how we look in the General Assembly. We have a historic opportunity for the Democrats to take back the House of Delegates and the Virginia Senate. And so this is an enormous opportunity for do that. And now we've got past the 2018 elections. We can now focus on 2019. And there's a lot that we can focus on. And so we're going to talk a lot about that. But before I introduce our guest speaker, I did want to talk a little bit about the politics and sort of what we can expect going into the session. This is our 46-day session. We go into session on January the 9th. It's our 46-day session, so it's a very short session. We're still feeling really good off the Medicaid expansion. There's going to be a lot of discussion happening with the budget because we did realize there's about a $400 million gap in the Medicaid budget, not related to expansion, but it's related to an underestimate of some of the more sicker of the population. And so we need to fill that budget gap. There's also going to be a lot of discussion about tax reform. We need to conform the state law with the new federal law as well, and there's going to be a lot of different conversations on how to use that money and make sure that it's taking care of our most vulnerable populations. And so there's going to be some tax reform going on. Redistricting is also going to be a very big issue. As you know, if you've been following the redistricting issue, if we're going to get a constitutional amendment, remember we're constitutionally required to redistrict and redraw the lines in 2021, right after the census comes out. And so if we're going to do this in a nonpartisan way, which I think everyone in this room, I certainly support us doing it that way, we need to pass a constitutional amendment. Now we could pass a law, but a constitutional amendment to enshrine it in our Constitution ought to be the way, I'm sorry I'm talking with my back to you, Tom, but that ought to be the way that we draw our lines. And so in order to do that, we're going to have to pass an amendment starting this session in 2019. Then we'll have an election in November of 2019, and then we come back and pass it again in 2020. Then it can go to you as a question on the ballot in the November 2020 election. And I think it's obviously all the polls have said that voters overwhelmingly support a constitutional amendment to do this in a nonpartisan way. And that's what I'm so excited about. So hopefully we'll be able to get that over the finish line.
Yay!
Another issue that gets into also the politics is ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment. This Equal Rights Amendment was passed in Congress in March of 1972. I was about 10 or 11 days old when that was passed. So I say that to you because it's taken 46 years for Virginia to go up to bat and actually have an opportunity to do this. Now, this came up last year, and it was rejected by the House and the Senate Republicans. So the question is what's the difference? Well, the difference is that we have an election coming up in 2019, and we have hopefully we'll have a lot of women running and voting. And when they see if a legislature is going to oppose this, I mean, we have a terrific opportunity to be the 38th state that would get it over the hump, the 2/3 or the 3/4 rather, to be that last final state to ratify. This would be absolutely incredible, and so there's a lot on the line, and so hopefully the politics doesn't get in the way to get that to pass. The other issue that's come up also that might be of interest to some people in this room is casinos. We are for the first time talking about legalizing gambling. I looked over at you. I don't know why I looked at you. Legalizing gambling. And I suspect that's going to end up in a commission, but there's a lot of talk of something happening over in Hampton Roads and southwest Virginia. Could be a terrific opportunity to do that. A lot of states certainly around us, Maryland has casinos, West Virginia does, and a lot of our tax revenue, people are traveling to those parts of the state and spending money, and so we're going to look very closely at this. I never thought I'd be telling you that we'd be looking this close in the 2018-2019 session, but I suspect it's going to end up in a commission, but it's something certainly to take a look at.
You mean a commission,
a study commission to take a look at it. Since we've got our Mom's Demand here in full force, I did want to mention guns. I would very much anticipate that certainly the House Democrats, probably Senate Democrats as well as Governor Northam, will have a pretty comprehensive agenda. The House Democrats just came off of its Safe Virginia initiative, where we had town hall style meetings all across the Commonwealth. We probably had about 8 or 9. And we brought in people from Republican, Democrat, Independents, from all walks of life, and we got some really good ideas. I have a bill that I will be bringing forth again in the 2019 session. It's called Cole's Law. It's based after a 4-year-old boy named Cole that was in Culpeper County. He was in a home daycare, and the family that operated the home daycare left a revolver on the nightstand. He was taking a nap in the bedroom, and he found the gun and shot and killed himself. Now, my law would say, Cole's Law would say that if you operate a home daycare, that you have to lock up your guns. It seems like a very simple. I know, it's really radical. But we're going to make a good faith effort to do that. And a lot of people really feel like this has a good chance. And so we're going to push it very hard. I've talked to Cole's family. They're going to be there to testify again. And it's one of those things that if you're going to do anything, you need to do something like this, something as common sense as this. But we have a big agenda that I think will get a lot of attention.
You got one missing hole, Patrick.
What's that?
What are we going to do about climate change in Virginia?
Well, we're going to have to
We
do a
are
lot
so
more.
far behind in Virginia that it's unbelievable.
Bob, you are exactly right. Did Lowell tell you to ask that?
I thought about it.
No,
I'm the one who always asks.
Bob, it is the biggest issue. I mean, all the other issues that we talk about, whether it's gun safety, or abortion rights, or anything else, an ERA amendment, it's not as consequential as
That's right.
protecting our environment.
That's right.
And I anticipate that you're going to see a pretty aggressive platform by the House Democrats, and we need to hold people accountable to it as well too. So I would expect you to see that, because Virginia has done not even the bare minimum that we can do. We can do a lot more, and we need to do a lot
So
more.
I read the article in the paper about, you know, all these things that how Virginians feel about it, and no word, not a boo about it.
Yeah.
And when you look at the headlines and everything else, I mean, that's not going to go away.
Yeah.
People would love for it to go away, but it's not.
It's not going away, and of course it's getting worse and
And
worse.
it's coming pretty fast.
It is, yes.
So if you build casinos down in Hampton Roads and whatever, they better not build them too close to the water.
That's right.
And if they do, then they do find without saving.
No, but you're right, Bob. You're absolutely right. Go down to Tangier Island.
Can I just route one other?
Yes. Yes.
If you heard it, I'm sorry, if you said it, I was sitting down and I didn't hear it. What can be done to help our new Americans, our refugees, to help people who are so scared about hate crimes and what's going on? Anything?
No,
that
you know,
anticipate
the
there?
Attorney General, I anticipate there to be a pretty big agenda on hate crimes. And the Attorney General is rolling out with a whole big platform on, even our Lieutenant Governor is too. And there's a lot of us that are.
So
Let me
that
stop
makes-
with the questions right now, because I do want to introduce, I'll get to your question.
I just wanted to, before we, can we thank Ben Tribbett for helping get rid of Dana Rohrabacher?
Yeah. That's a good introduction, but I'm going to say a little bit more. Let's talk.